The Dutton Ranch Season 1 and Episode 10 was coming tomorrow has already started tonight. And by the time the sun rises over the Dutton Ranch, someone powerful will be dead. Someone trusted will be exposed, and a secret buried for decades will finally crawl out of the shadows. Because the moment Joaquin made that phone call to Mariano, everything changed. And now there is no turning back. Rip has felt it ever since that diseased bull crossed onto his land. Ever since their entire herd dropped like dominoes and the truth started peeling back layer by layer. Because this was never an accident, never bad luck, never just ranch business gone wrong. It was sabotage, planned, calculated, and designed to cripple Beth and Rip before they could even understand who they were really fighting. And now Rip finally sees it clearly. The 10-Petal Ranch has been moving illegal cattle across the border for years. Dirty paperwork, fake inspections, disease-covered livestock slipping through like ghosts. And someone inside helped make it happen. Someone who knew exactly what it would do. And for Rip Wheeler, that kind of betrayal only ends one way. So when he storms toward Rob Will in the dark and grabs him with that cold fury burning in his eyes, asking if he's running drugs too, it is not a question. It is a warning. Because Rip already knows the cattle business was only the surface. And underneath it is something far darker. Something connected to Mariano. Something that reaches far beyond ranch land and bloodlines. And Rob Will knows the lie he has been living is about to collapse. But the terrifying part is Rip has already made up his mind. And when Rip makes a decision like that, somebody bleeds. But while Rip is hunting answers, Beth is doing something even more dangerous. She is connecting the truth. Her conversation with Beulah changes everything because Beth sees something nobody else saw. Beulah is not the mastermind. She is another prisoner, trapped inside Mariano's empire for years, carrying his secrets, running his operation because she had no other choice. And when Beth tells her she knows what it feels like to be in a hole so deep you can't climb out, it is not sympathy. It is recognition. Because Beth understands pain better than anyone alive, and in that moment she realizes the real enemy isn't standing in front of her. He is still coming. Mariano. The ghost behind everything. The man who built an empire from shadows and now feels it slipping. And when his threat reaches Beth and Rip, when he tells them to leave or be forced out, he makes the biggest mistake of his life. Because fear doesn't make Beth Dutton run. It makes her strike harder. And now the storm heading toward him is something even Mariano has never faced before. But the deeper truth hiding beneath all of this is Rob Will's downfall. Because all season he clawed his way to power, manipulating his family, blackmailing Beulah, using Chad like a weapon, destroying anyone who stood in his path, believing he had finally won. But power built on chaos always collapses, and Mariano's arrival proves Rob was never the king, just a reckless placeholder. Mariano doesn't trust him. Never did. Rob Will is too loud, too impulsive, too addicted to power and self-destruction. And in a business where silence means survival, Rob has become a liability. And that means his days are numbered. What makes this worse is Joaquin has been waiting for this moment. All season he has swallowed the pain, the humiliation, the violence, his injured hand, his stolen future, the betrayal that ripped apart everything he believed about family. And now, for the first time, he has the one thing he needs, Mariano's ear. And when Joaquin sits down and tells him everything, about Wes, about the manipulation, about the lies, about how Rob poisoned everything he touched, Mariano begins to understand that Rob Will is not an asset. He is the infection. And infections get cut out. That is the terrifying shift no one sees coming. Rob thinks Rip is his biggest problem, but Rip may not even be the man who kills him. Because Mariano might decide Rob's time is over before Rip ever gets the chance, and if Mariano doesn't pull that trigger, Joaquin might. Because some wounds don't heal. Some only wait for revenge. But then there is Oriana standing in the center of this storm, watching her family implode, carrying years of pain and confusion. And when her screams tear through the night, when tears break down the walls, she's held up for so long, it feels like the world itself is cracking open. Because whatever she sees changes her forever. And if it is Rob falling, her father, the man who hurt her and still raised her, that grief will destroy her in ways she can't even understand yet, because losing someone toxic doesn't erase love. It twists it into something unbearable. And just when it feels like emotions can't stretch any tighter, the guns come out. Everett grabs his rifle. Ranch hands start choosing sides. Mariano's men spread across the property like wolves in the dark. Rip moves like a man possessed. Beth stands ready for war. This isn't a fight anymore. It is a massacre waiting to happen. Because every lie, every betrayal, every secret has led to this exact night. The 10-petal ranch becomes a battlefield, bullets cutting through fences, horses screaming, men falling, and in the middle of it all stands Carter, the one nobody expected to matter. All season he's been failing, making mistakes, being the weak link, but tonight might be the night he becomes something else. Because Beth's words have been sitting inside him, waiting for the moment life would force him to grow up. And that moment is here now, with fire, blood, and death all around him. The question is, does Carter freeze, or does he fight? Because if he fights, everything changes. Meanwhile, Beth is closing in on Beulah's truth, and Beulah may finally break. Finally tell Beth what Mariano has been hiding for decades. The full scale of the smuggling. The bodies buried to protect it. The families destroyed to keep it alive. And if that truth comes out tonight, Mariano's empire won't just shake, it will burn. But Mariano is smarter than everyone thinks, and he didn't come to Texas unprepared. He came ready to erase problems, and Beth and Rip are now at the top of that list. The terrifying part is Beth and Rip still don't fully understand what Mariano is capable of, because Rob Will was chaos, but Mariano is order, cold and calculated, the kind of man who smiles while destroying everything you love. And if he survives tonight, this war is only beginning. But first, Rob Will has to face judgment, cornered between Rip's rage, Walken's pain, and Mariano's decision. There is nowhere left to run. Every bad choice has caught up. Every betrayal is standing in front of him. And whether it is a bullet from Mariano, revenge from Walken, or Rip finally finishing what he started, Rob Will's story feels like it ends here. In blood, in darkness, in the ranch he fought so hard to control. But death is never the real ending on this ranch. Because after the smoke clears, after bodies hit the ground, after Beth and Rip survive what might be the most violent night of their lives, the bigger truth remains. Mariano is still out there, and now it's personal. He will know Beth uncovered him. He will know Rip came for his empire. And next season won't be about protecting cattle or saving land. It will be about survival, revenge, and a war far bigger than anyone imagined. Because if tonight was the battle, Season 2 will be the reckoning. And the scariest part of all is this family still has no idea what Mariano's final move really is. The gunfire doesn't stop. It spreads, tearing through the 10-petal ranch like the land itself has declared war. And in the middle of that chaos, Rip realizes something terrifying. This entire battle was never just about cattle. Never just about Rob Will. It was about control. And Mariano has been controlling everything from the shadows for far longer than anyone understood. As bullets rip through the fences and ranch hands dive for cover, Rip pushes forward like a man with nothing left to lose. Because in his mind, this night already cost him too much. His herd is gone. His trust is broken. And the woman he loves is now standing in the direct path of a monster he underestimated. But Beth is not hiding. She is moving deeper into the ranch house, hunting answers, because Beulah's silence has become louder than any confession. Beth knows there's one final truth Beulah has been protecting, something so dangerous it kept her chained to Mariano for decades. And tonight, with blood spilling outside, that truth is about to surface. Beulah is trembling, her walls finally collapsing, because for the first time in years, Mariano is back in person, and his presence doesn't bring safety. It brings fear. Beth sees it instantly. This isn't loyalty. This is terror. And when Beth pushes harder, demanding to know what Mariano has hidden all these years, Beulah finally cracks. She reveals the smuggling was only the beginning. The cattle operation wasn't the business. It was the cover. Mariano has been moving drugs, weapons, and people across the border for years, using ranches like invisible highways, and every family connected to him has been trapped in his machine. That's why the infected bull was sent. Not to hurt business, to send a message, a warning. Beth and Rip were never meant to survive long enough to ask questions. But now Beth has those answers, and Mariano knows it. Outside, Walken is hunting Rob Will through the dark fields, the rage he buried all season boiling over with every step. Because this isn't just revenge anymore. This is justice. Rob Will stumbles through the dirt, bleeding, panicked, realizing too late that the empire he fought for is abandoning him. Mariano's men aren't protecting him. They're surrounding him. That's when Rob understands the brutal truth. He was never family, only useful. And now that usefulness is over. But before Mariano can make his move, Walken finds Rob first, and the silence between them feels heavier than the gunfire. Rob tries to talk, tries to manipulate like he always has, tries to remind Walken their blood, but blood means nothing after betrayal this deep. Walken looks at the man who destroyed his hand, his future, his name, and for the first time all season, Rob looks afraid. Real fear, because he sees it in Walken's eyes. Mercy is gone. But before the trigger can be pulled, Mariano steps out of the shadows. Calm, cold, watching them both like pieces on a chessboard. And suddenly, everything changes. Mariano doesn't yell. He doesn't threaten. He simply looks at Rob like a broken tool and says the words Rob never expected to hear. You made too much noise. In that moment, Rob understands his fate is sealed. He begs, tries to bargain, but Mariano has already decided. And in one brutal second, the empire Rob killed for throws him away like he never mattered. The gunshot echoes across the ranch, and Rob Will falls. Just like that. The man who spent the entire season clawing for power dies alone, betrayed by the very world he thought he controlled. But the death doesn't bring peace. It makes everything worse, because Oriana sees it. She sees her father hit the dirt, and her scream cuts through the night like a knife. It freezes everyone for just a second. Her pain is unbearable, because no matter what Rob was, he was still her father. And watching him die this way breaks something inside her forever. But Mariano doesn't even blink. That's the moment everyone understands what kind of man he truly is. Not reckless like Rob, not emotional like Walken, just pure calculation. And now he turns that focus toward the real threat. Beth and Rip. Back inside, Beth pieces it together fast. Rob was disposable. Mariano is the real war. And when she hears the gunshot outside, she knows the board has changed. She rushes out, finding Rip in the middle of the battlefield. And for one brief second, their eyes meet, both understanding the same horrifying truth. Rob is dead, but the nightmare isn't over. It's only beginning. Mariano steps into the open, his men surrounding the ranch, and for the first time, Beth and Rip stand face to face with the man behind everything. No lies left, no middlemen, just war. Mariano offers them one final chance to walk away, but Beth laughs in his face, because if there's one thing Mariano still doesn't understand, it's that Duttons don't walk away from blood. Rip steps forward, ready to kill him right there. But Mariano reveals something that stops them cold. He knows about John Dutton. He knows about Yellowstone. He knows secrets tied to their family that should be impossible for him to know. And suddenly, this fight becomes bigger than Texas, bigger than the ranch, bigger than revenge. Mariano has been watching the Dutton bloodline for years, waiting for the right moment to strike.